Hey, many of the folks who tune into these short daily reminders are seeking ways to live a more magical, more fulfilling life. How many of you have asked yourself the one question that really unlocks that magic fully? I'm Dr. John Michael Salvato. I'm going to be your host for the next 10 minutes or so as we talk about that question and many more topics on today's installment of A Year of Thinking Magically. More on that when we get back. And welcome back, guys. Thank you in advance for liking, subscribing, and sharing this content with somebody that you think might vibe with us. We also thank you for clicking the notification bell if you're watching on our YouTube channel so that you don't miss one episode of A Year of Thinking Magically. We do these daily, Monday through Friday, at various times throughout the day so that folks, depending on their schedule, have an opportunity to log in and maybe share with us just one little way, the one mind shift that they can take each day toward living a more fulfilling, more magical, richer, and more authentic life. Now, those of you who know me know that I'm a big fan of lively debate, and as many of you have pretty much figured out by watching my social media interactions, the stuff that the television interviews and the stuff that I do in on TV and in books, that this is not something that I back down from. That debate is something that's one of those things that I think many people in our society are taught to have disdain for because they view it as confrontation, and that's really what debate, or not what debate is about. It's not about confrontation. It's not even really about disagreement at all. Debate challenges us to think. And for starters, that's probably why so many people shy away from it. Our entire education system in this country is broken. In fact, I'd say the entire education system in the West in general has become one that focuses almost all of its energy, all of its attention on telling students what to think rather than teaching them how to think. And so I think that's part of the problem. For example, what value is there in having memorized that the year that the oppressive invader Christopher Columbus set sail for the New World was 1492? When have you ever really needed that information? We have encyclopedias, we have history books, and now we have the internet to look up such trivial facts. But teaching students to memorize such trivia, we subtly suppress their natural tendency to engage in the most magical part of life, which is asking questions. And as Rosemary points out, Western education is also very fragmented, and that's absolutely true. You know, when we start to indoctrinate young students and then later older students, we from away from asking questions and more toward this is what you should believe, this is what you should know, we start to take away some of that spark of creativity. And so the patriarchy has always encouraged that we teach students what to think, what to believe, and what to know, rather than encouraging us to question what we experience and to learn how to think. And so we got a couple comments here today. Deborah says, totally agree. Debate is not confrontation. And my smart ass little brother says, when did you move into a cabin? I'll have to show you the next time you're over. Well, perhaps the reason that that we are often oppressed, that we're often told what to believe rather than, or what to think rather than how to think, is because if we actually engaged in rational thought, questioning what we were being told, then we might question the legends, the myths, the very foundations of religious ideologies, political narratives, historical narratives, even our ideas about gender and sexuality and reality itself. And if we question those things and we begin to shift the power from the oppressor to the people. So here's my challenge for us today. Whenever you find yourself making a decision, ask yourself why. Really that simple. Let's begin with those who practice or embrace metaphysical or spiritual principles. Ask yourself why you engage in such a practice, and you'll reach a more complete understanding of the value or sometimes the lack of value in that pursuit. When we grasp the concept of why we're doing something, we engage in that pursuit, I think, more fully. We're more vested in what it is that we're doing. We're able to be more present and more mindful of what we're doing. That, my mentor, the late Mr. Jim Rohn, would tell me is why two people could set out with the exact same talents, the exact same goals and objectives, and one person will fail and the other person succeeds beyond their wildest imagination, beyond their wildest dreams. See, when we know why, we unlock the magic behind the process of creation. So the person who asks why is more likely to succeed than the person who simply dives in. In fact, Mr. Rohn would suggest that before I do anything, and this has served me well over the last 40, 45 years, that I ask myself 4 questions. And so I'm going to share those with you today. The first question, as I said, was why? Why pursue the hidden knowledge of the secrets of ancient mystical practitioners? Why take the time to cultivate a magical or metaphysical practice? Ask yourself why. The second question is much like it, and that is why not? Why not explore the untapped potential that exists within the human mind and the psyche to create new experiences? Why not cultivate relationships with the spiritual energies of the manifest and unmanifest world to strive to live in better harmony with it? Why not question the myths? Why not question the legends and the narratives that we were told about our practices and where those practices come from, and see what resonates with us before blindly following along? Ask yourself why. And while we're asking those questions, I found it useful to ask, why not me? Why not me, with the desire and the focus to create and discover new skills, new passions, new understandings of the cosmos? Why not me become the one who lights the way for the people who come after me? Why not me, with the strong foundation and desire to understand the stories of others, become that first person who actually listens to them? And the last question, probably the most important question, and one that I would love to ask each and every one of you in person: why not now? There's no other moment in time that'll have the potential and the power that the present moment has. Why not now make the decision to let go of what no longer serves us? Why not now make the decision that we're not going to let others forget the horrors and injustice like fundamentalism and racism, gender and other biases, xenophobia, transphobia, and intolerance? Why not make sure that we're not going to let them forget that those horrors, those injustices have consequences? Ahmaud Arbery lost his life a year ago today on February 23rd, 2020. In the year that followed, we saw violence toward communities of color increase to record levels, being fanned, the flames being fanned by the terrorists occupying the Oval Office. A failed response to address the global pandemic during that same period of time has now resulted in 1 new death from COVID-19 every minute on average over the past year. 500,000 souls lost. So why not now say that we're going to put everything we can into the effort to heal and transform, to transmute and transcend the way things are, and reclaim the power and the potential that the present moment has for us? Why not now give ourselves permission to ask better questions so that we get better outcomes? And one place we can start is by taking the time to ask why, and to genuinely inquire with others as well. It really is about asking better questions. When we ask questions and share our stories, we unlock the magic that comes from moving closer to the truth about essential unity, the common ground that we share, singularity, and true sovereignty. And here's one way that we can do that, one way that we can begin the process of asking better questions and sharing our stories. And I look forward to being with you tomorrow. But before I go, I'd like to share with you something from our friends at the Charter for Compassion that encourages us to take that next step. And let this be our mind shift for today. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Adrian Grenier, and I'm a guy you might know. That's why I've chosen to speak to you today, because you know my story. Well, some of it anyway. But what if you knew everyone's story? What if everyone on the planet was familiar to everyone else? The Charter for Compassion wants to find out. They're asking you to tell them a piece of your story. One moment of compassion that changed your life. Each story will be inspiring in its own right, but all of them together will reveal a world of compassion happening right now in places all over the world, as diverse as Kentucky all the way to Pakistan and everywhere in between. Imagine it. Thousands of stories told one person at a time. Someone once said, there isn't anyone you couldn't learn to love once you've heard his or her story. Stories make us care. Stories help us understand. Stories breed compassion. And if there's one thing we need right now, in our politics, in our dialogue, in our communities, in our world, it's compassion. Go to charterforcompassion.org and tell your story. And while you're there, affirm the Charter and make a commitment to make the world a more compassionate place. But it's only the first step. Now it's time to practice. It's the only way to a peaceful world. I can't wait to hear your story.